APC, PDP trade words as 30 persons die in Brno Bridge explosion. Court stops NERC discuss new electricity tariff. In international news, U.S.-Iran conflict escalates as Iran fires missiles at 2 U.S. bases in Iraq. And in sport, Azizat Oshoala, Sadio Mane win CAF's Best Players Award.
This is ANN News.
I am Olajumoke Olatunji. 30 persons were killed on Monday and 35 injured in the bombing of a pedestrian bridge at the market town of Gamboru in Borno State near the Cameroon border. Residents blame Boko Haram sect for the explosion. The Nigerian army says Boko Haram fighters launched an attack on the convoy of the Tepe commander of Operations Lafia Doli, Major General Olusegun Adeniyi, and 3 generals in his convoy with anti-aircraft guns, rocket-propelled grenades, and machine guns on Monday. Eyewitnesses say the injured are being treated at a local hospital. Troops of the 159 Battalion Gaydam Sector 2 in Yobe State are threatening to back out of operations in protest against alleged neglect and unfair treatment by the Nigerian Army. In a letter addressed to President Muhammadu Buhari, the National Assembly, United Nations, African Union, and other organizations, the soldiers complained that it had been on counterinsurgency missions in the northeast for 4 years and they need a change of assignment. They also complain of being exploited by those they call insensitive superiors for personal and material gains. The troops say they have stayed too long in the northeast. Justice Muslim Hassan of the Lagos Federal High Court has ordered the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission and electricity distribution companies not to stay the proposed 40% increase in electricity tariff. The judge had directed NERC and the distribution companies to wait for the hearing and determination of a suit filed by the Incorporated Trustees of Human Rights Foundation, challenging the tariff increase. The Human Rights Group says the multi-year tariff order will create unquantifiable hardship and damages on Nigerians. The case has been adjourned till later this month. The Lagos State government says it plans to increase its monthly internally generated revenue to fund the 2020 budget. Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget Sam Egube says a significant percentage of the projected ₹500 billion would be contributed by the Lagos Inland Revenue Service through expansion additional taxes. Egube says this would be achieved through the deployment of technology and other companies to improve the efficiency in operations of all revenue-generating agencies. The Kwara State High Court in Ilorin has granted an ex parte injunction restraining the state government from further demolition of late Olushola Saraki's property. ANN had earlier reported that the demolition of the building, also known as Ile Arugbo, the building served as political home for the Kwara politician during his lifetime. The court also said the state government should stay clear of the property pending the determination of the motion on notice. The government says it has not been served with any court order. Abuja National Hospital has recorded another landslide success with the successful separation of a set of conjoined twins. The pair had shared one liver, a protruding tummy, and a lower chest. The 12-hour surgery involved nearly 80 medical personnel. Minister of Health Dr. Osage Ohanere said the feat was an indication that Nigerian hospitals were ready to compete with the best in the world. The twins were born at the Federal Medical Hospital, Kefi, in Nasarawa State. The minister said this was a demonstration of excellent teamwork. He also said Nigeria can perform great medical feats if there were a show of confidence in the health sector. The leader of the team that performed the surgery, Professor Emmanuel Ame, said the twins were monitored for 15 months before the separation.
Coming up, African news. Libyans oppose Turkish troop presence in their country. And later, international news. U.S.-Iran conflict escalates as Iran fires missiles at 2 U.S. bases in Iraq.
You are watching ANN. Somewhere in the world, every second of the day, news is happening. And of course, Nigeria is bustling with news day and night. That is why ANN doesn't sleep. Our eyes are peeled, wide open, so no story escapes our radar. We stay abreast of world events and happenings at home. We keep you up to the minute in the world of sports. We give you information to stay on top of your investments and all the hard facts you need to navigate your day. If you miss us on air, you can keep up to date on our website and on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. We are ANN, African News Network. We do news right in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Now to African stories. Kenya and Guinea-Bissau have agreed to work more closely to deepen their bilateral ties at a State House meeting on Wednesday in Kenya's coastal city of Mombasa. President Uhuru Kenyatta and Guinea-Bissau President-elect Umaru Embalo said the two countries will enhance their cooperation for the benefits of the citizens of both countries. The leaders singled out exchange of students and teachers, collaboration in technical training, trade and security as some of the key areas of focus in bolstering cooperation between both countries. The two leaders also resolved to work together and play an active role in bridging the gap between East and West Africa through enhanced people-to-people interaction to boost continental integration efforts. President-elect Embalo thanked his Kenya counterpart for his leading role in the integration of Africa, as well as for his efforts in ensuring sustainable peace and stability on the continent. Kenyatta then accepted an invitation as chief guest of Embalo's inauguration. Turkish troops could start arriving in Libya soon as the parliament has approved deployment of soldiers to intervene in Libya's civil war. Most in the area have called the move a threat to regional security, and the United Nations Special Envoy to Libya has condemned foreign interference in the war-torn country. Libyans themselves oppose the presence of Turkish troops in their country. Reporter Marco Bar-Daniel has the story.
Turkey is gradually sending troops to Libya as the battle for Tripoli intensifies. The troops seek to provide military support to Libya's UN-recognized government of national accord. Turkey's move has, however, elicited mixed reactions among Libyans.
We have a lot of concerns. It is dangerous. Libya will go backwards. The invasion will lead to colonization, which will control us totally. And I'm afraid we will become homeless.
Some Libyans are criticizing Prime Minister Fayez al-Sarraj's move to seek military reinforcement from Turkey. They fear that the move is a green light for other foreign forces to directly intervene in Libya.
Sarraj's decision is unpatriotic. He resorted to Turkey to fight against the national army and the police forces. Does Turkey really want to help us? We want our stable life to remain as it is now. But when the Turkish troops arrive, they would want to control Libyan oil.
None of us agrees on this. No one will be happy about it. Even if we have an internal conflict or a civil war, this remains between us. Intervention is unacceptable.
I want to tell Mr. Fayez al-Sarraj and the Presidential Council, please do not allow European countries to dictate their terms to you.
The battle for control over Libya has left thousands dead and displaced hundreds of thousands of others. Most Libyans are holding on to the hope that a resolution to the conflict will soon be found.
This year, 2020, is only 8 days old, but 11 prisoners are reported to have died in Kinshasa jail in the Democratic Republic of the Congo since the first day of the year. Prison staff and non-governmental organization sources blame those deaths on drug and food shortages in the prison. Officials there told French news agency the Makala prison lacked medicines to treat the prisoners before they died, and their family members had no resources to buy the needed drugs. The officials said the prison has received no funds from the government since October last year. Makala prison, the biggest in the capital Kinshasa, houses nearly 9,000 inmates in a colonial-era facility that was built for 1,500 persons. Ethiopian Orthodox Christians celebrated Christmas on Monday, with religious leaders calling the laity to pray and work for the maintenance of peace and unity. They joined other Eastern Orthodox Christians around the world some 2 weeks after December the 25th, when their Western counterparts celebrated the birth of Jesus. Koleta Wanjohi reports from Addis Ababa.
Christmas begins here for Hirpo Gurmesa and 7 of his friends. They are sharing an ox they've bought together. An ox costs between $1,000 and $2,000.
If one person buys an ox, the price is too much for him. He cannot afford. And then if we were many in number, we just contribute money together and then we buy. For 1 month, it's very difficult.
Since 1984, they have bought and shed 72 oxen, slaughtering them twice a year. But it is more than just a meal.
It is unity. It gives us, it learns us unity.
Hirpo says they encourage their children to keep the practice going.
There is some gap between the current generation and our fathers, so this should be corrected. And, the current generation should learn from what our fathers are doing to transfer such wonderful practice to the coming generation.
It's all about social life. It's all about socializing and having a get together, having fun, spending time together with the relatives. This is all about spending holiday. This Christmas time is time of joy.
The group shares out the meat through a raffle. This kind of sharing is a Christmas tradition around the country. Christmas comes immediately after a fasting period, so most people spend their day indoors feasting with family and friends. And as the friends take the meat home to begin their celebrations, they are already preparing for another slaughter in less than 4 months, their 73rd ox at Easter.
When we return, international news. U.S.-Iran conflicts escalate as Iran fires missiles at 2 U.S. bases in Iraq. And later, sports. Azizat Oshoala, Sadio Mane win CAF's Best Players Award.
You are watching ANN.
I beg go. I feel like saying the food don't take time finish. Push!
Oh! When they're supposed to buy food, they will not buy. We look here. He still has 200 naira food. He will still buy.
Okay, 200. You can put your usual bill.
Yes, but you go add 888. Join now.
It's a big level.
Is it not 200 you give that lady?
Now 888 be that.
888 now the new AWOOF. Recharge with star 888 star pin hash to enjoy 5 times AWOOF from MTN to call any network. You fit also enjoy them on top VTU. Just ask your vendor for AWOOF for you.
Conductor, where my other change?
Office man, you don't forget money self.
Oh, forget. You go even hide 888 join that shit. Give my check, bro.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. On the foreign scene, Now the rhetoric and threats have intensified in the U.S.-Iran confrontation as Iran fires more than a dozen ballistic missiles early on Wednesday at two Iraqi air bases that house U.S. troops. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, called the Iranian strikes a slap in the face to the United States and said the corrupt presence of the U.S. in the region should come to an end. Hours after the attack, U.S. President Donald Trump tweeted that an assessment of casualties and damage was taking place. Iraq's military said there were no casualties among its forces. Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif said in his own tweet that Iran had taken and concluded proportionate measures in self-defense. He said Iran is not seeking escalation or war, but he affirmed Iran will defend itself against any aggression. The missile attack was the latest step in a series of events that have unfolded in the past 2 weeks with increasing tensions between the United States and Iran. The U.S. blamed an Iran-backed militia for a rocket attack on an Iraqi base that killed a U.S. military contractor. On Friday, a U.S. airstrike killed Qasem Soleimani, commander of Iran's elite Quds forces near Baghdad's airport. The Pentagon said the missiles launched from Iran targeted the Al-Assad base, located about 60 kilometers west of Baghdad, as well as one in Erbil, parts of Iraq's semi-autonomous Kurdish region. Many countries are urging the United States and Iran to try to de-escalate tensions that have been building after a series of attacks on each other's interest in Iraq. British Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab condemned on Wednesday Iraq's missile attack on two Iraqi air bases that houses U.S. and coalition forces, including British troops. He said a war in the region would only help Islamic State. Japan's chief cabinet spokesman Yoshihide Suga had called for all nations involved to exert whatever diplomatic efforts they can to improve relations. United Arab Emirates Minister of State for Foreign Affairs Anshua Gagash said in a tweet, it is essential for the region to pull back from what he called current and troubling tensions. He said the wise and necessary move in this situation is de-escalation. He added a political path towards stability must follow. There is tragic news of a Ukrainian Airlines plane crash on Wednesday after taking off from Tehran. All 176 on board, including 9 crew members, perished. The plane was heading to Ukraine's capital, Kiev. The airline has indefinitely suspended flights to Tehran. Ukraine's Foreign Minister Vadim Prystaiko says the aircraft was carrying 82 Iranians, 63 Canadians, 11 Ukrainians, 10 Swedes, 4 Afghans, and 3 Germans, and 3 British. Automaker Tesla's Shanghai factory has delivered its first cars to customers on Monday, and Chief Executive Elon Musk said the electric automaker plans to set up a design center in China to create a model for worldwide sales. Yang Shenshikan reports.
Dancing on stage. It is not hard to see why Tesla founder Elon Musk is in a good mood this week. The flamboyant American entrepreneur has delivered the first batch of made-in-China Model 3 electric vehicles to Chinese customers. It's a dream that has come to fruition just a year since Tesla's $2 billion Gigafactory was launched in Shanghai, breaking the record for global automakers in China. He calls it the Shanghai Speed. You can own a made-in-China Model 3 for about $46.4 thousand. That comes following a 9% price drop last Friday. Tesla's 2019 sales were bigger than the previous 2 years combined, which was mainly thanks to the popularity of the Model 3 sedan. Musk also announced plans to manufacture Tesla's latest Model Y cars in China.
But actually, probably even more people prefer an SUV than a sedan, and I think ultimately Model Y will have more demand than probably all of the other cars of Tesla combined.
Model 3 is expected to be completely domestically produced by the end of 2020. Currently, only 30% of the components are produced locally. Analysts expect production costs to further go down as Tesla builds a more complete supply chain in China. That could mean lower prices in the future. The Gigafactory builds more than 3,000 cars in a week and plans to double productions next year. The new energy vehicle market in China, the biggest in the world, is expected to become that much more competitive.
Up next, sport. Azizat Oshoala, Sadio Mane win CAF's Best Players Award. Please stay with us.
You are watching AN.
We are on the road every day, canvassing throughout Africa for news you really need. We follow this story everywhere, from every corner of Nigeria to the wide African expanse. We bring you what's making headlines. We connect you with news you can use. ANN, African News Network, in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News and Sport. The Nigeria women's volleyball team lost to host Cameroon on Monday in their match at the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games qualifiers. The team will face Egypt in their second game next Tuesday. They will take on Botswana the next day and Kenya in the final game on Thursday. The 2020 Olympic qualifiers, which started on Sunday, are expected to end on Thursday. Africa's football kings and queens were crowned on Tuesday night, and Liverpool and Senegal stars Sadio Mane and Nigerian Barcelona forward Azizat Oshoala picked up the top awards for African Men and Women's Player of the Year after an outstanding calendar year. Mane placed fourth in the 2019 behind Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. Nigeria's Victor Osimhen, Samuel Chukwueze lost the Youth Player of the Year award to Morocco's Ashraf Hakimi. Super Falcons captain Azizat Oshoala won the Women's Player of the Year award for a record fourth time, equaling compatriots Perpetual Quocha's record. Congratulations to all of them. That is ANN News this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. That's ANN Africa. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Have a pleasant evening.